Hello, welcome to my Budget with Me January 2021 edition. My name is Charlotte Jessup and this is the Looking After Your Pennies YouTube channel. Today I'm going to go through my budget for January 2021 and I want you to come along with me. If you watched my December 2020 video where I talked through my budget, then you will notice that there are some changes in this one. There have been a few new investment strategies added and a few tweaks in our expenditure. We've also seen a bit of an income increase, so I will be talking through what we plan on spending that on. I've also on reflection from last time, wanted to increase the amount of money that I spent on giving. So I'm going to be talking through my plans for that and where I'm taking that in the future. So come along with me. If you've not budgeted before, this is your real opportunity to actually look at how somebody else who's been budgeting, I've been budgeting for years and years and years, the process that I go through. You will get to see the spreadsheet that I use, and this spreadsheet is available to you for free on my website. The link is below. So if you want to get this budgeting spreadsheet and to use that for yourself, then you can do so. You can fill it all in and then literally budget with me for January 2021. Let's jump straight in. Okay, so here's my budget, and if you watched last month's budget, you will see that there are maybe a couple of differences already. So I've made a few changes to this in preparation for this video. So I've put in some of the numbers so you can see already, like I say, if you're doing a bit of a comparison between last month, that actually there are some additional, we had more money this month. So a bit more money came in, thanks to my husband's job. So there's some money coming in there. And there have also been some other changes as well that I want to talk through. So every month what I do is I pretty much do a copy and paste. And there are some dangers with doing the copy and paste, and that is that you don't pay attention to any of the fees. But luckily, because I'm putting this on YouTube, it keeps me accountable. So that's good. So over here, I've entered in our wages. So I did all right this month, or I did all right in December. So this is the money that I made back in kind of like throughout December, and we're going to spend it in January. So that's the plan. Because I'm self-employed, we kind of work like, we don't wait for the money to come in and then spend it. We're about a month out or a couple of weeks out anyway. Then we've got the husband's wage, and so we've got a total there, and we'll get a bit from child benefit too. So just to kind of look through each of these categories, so I look at the expenditure, we look at the things that are our fixed costs, the things that we know that we have coming out. So first up in this category, we have housing. And our housing costs are going to be the same month on month. So we've got nothing particularly different about that. Our mortgage is still going to be the same. It's probably going to stay that way until at least the summer, when we are going to be reviewing that and possibly remortgaging. Council tax hasn't changed. Again, in a couple of months, that might be different. I've popped this one here in red. So this is not one that we have to pay, but it's one that we will, we'll probably come back to in a bit and talk about. Electricity and gas. So this one I said that I was going to look into and try and change this month, and I haven't got around to it yet. So actually that's one that I might look at this month, or I should look at this month if I'm practicing what I preach, and try and get that for a bit less. Water is unlikely to change. Our phone and internet, we're on a contract, so I don't think that runs out until March. Probably even a couple of months after that. So we're probably not looking at changing that until kind of like May, June time at the earliest. The mobile phone bill has changed though. So I have recently changed my contract. So in the last couple of weeks, changed my contract. So mine has gone up. However, my husband's has gone down. Overall, it has gone up a bit. So I'm just going to change this one because I know that mine has gone up to £33, but my husband has gone down to £7. So that one's a really easy change, and then I can change this colour it's going to be nearly impossible, I think, for me to match up the colours on this, but we can certainly try. That'll do. So then we have the total for our utilities. So I'm just checking it against these percentages that I've set as goals, and actually our utilities, even with the increase in the mobile phone, is still falling under, which is perfect, of our goal of 10%. So we've got 7% of our income is spending on utilities. Right, food and drink I'll come back to, transport I'll come back to. Entertainment, let's skip over to this one here. So for entertainment, we actually have, we're not doing a lot. We're in tier 4, like most of the country. We're not going to be going anywhere. It's cold. It's where everything's closed. The only thing that we do have coming out is a Netflix subscription. So that's in at $5.99. All right, I'm just going to flick back here. Yep. So that is the same as last month, so at $5.99. And we're also going to be putting a little bit in a sinking fund for a holiday in the hope that that is something that happens in 2021, which by the time you're watching this video will be this year. Then insurances, we have life insurance. We also have an insurance that covers us. It provides for things like travel insurance, which we don't really need at the moment, but it's also things like mobile phone insurance and breakdown cover and stuff like that, and it's all included in that thing there. More than happy to pay that because it actually saves us quite a lot of money when we add up the cost of all those things separately. House insurance we pay annually. It usually comes in about £120 for the year, so I have a sinking fund set up for that and £10 per month, so that's why that one is in red. Now the rest, it's all flexible. So we don't really have anything else. We don't have gym memberships, we don't have anything like that going on. So let's jump back over to food and drink. Now, food and drink is obviously a big expense category. For like most families, we've got 2 kids, so there's 4 of us in this house. I am celiac, so that means I'm eating gluten-free. So actually some of the things that I buy for me, because they're gluten-free, are more expensive than some of the other stuff. So we spend more than I would like on groceries. So this figure here, which is, I've got £350, which was about what we spent in December. We obviously spent a bit more on food because it was Christmas. And but that came out of a separate pot. That came out of my Christmas sinking fund pot. So what I would really like to do is try and get that grocery cost down. So I basically work on this as about 4.5 weeks worth of food. So I spend about £80 a week on food. Now it would be great to kind of get some of that cost down. So this month I'm going to try and reduce that just a little bit, like a small kind of incremental amount, and try and bring that down to £320. Like we're not going out. The kids are going to be going back to school, so they will get fed there. So it should be a fairly cheap month. Takeaways, I'm also hoping that we're going to be good to ourselves in terms of the quality of food that we eat and actually save ourselves some money by not having any takeaways. So I'm actually not going to budget in for any of those because we're going to try and keep our costs as low as possible so we can really ramp up our savings and investments this month. Right, now transport. Again, we're not going anywhere. My husband cycles to work, so we don't have any costs there. If he needs like bike costs, then we have some savings and stuff aside for that, but it's all fairly minimal. So I don't intend to actually spend a huge amount of money on that. I think I filled up the car like over a month ago and there's still 3/4 of a tank left. So I don't think we're actually going to spend anything on fuel this month. Like we do so little driving. Like the only driving that we do is really to my daughter's nursery, and occasionally I'll do the school run if it's like raining or snowing or something ridiculous like that. So I'm actually going to put 0 in for fuel. I think we can probably go throughout this month without needing to fill up the car because we do such little driving and we're not allowed to go anywhere. So that all helps. Now our car insurance. So I have changed these figures. So these figures are adjusted based on last month. So last month when I did this video, I actually kind of guessed these figures, but this month I kind of worked them out properly. And I encourage you to do this as well. Look at how much it actually costs for these things. So I looked at how much we spent on car insurance, and it actually came in at, it was just under £300. So that's for me and my husband. We've only got one car and it's quite old. So our car insurance isn't a huge amount. We've both been driving for years. I'm actually expecting our car insurance to go down this year because my husband was in an accident like about 5 years ago now, and so that should clear next time we come to pay for our car insurance, and we always do that annually. So I'm hoping that will actually be less than the £300 that it was last year. So I think the £25 a month, so we're going to adjust the automated sinking fund payment that we have for that and move that down to £25 per month. Car tax, again, I looked up this figure, I estimated it was about £20, and actually it came in at £145 last year, so I put £13 aside from that. If it goes up a bit, it will be by sort of a few pounds, and we can take that, we can budget for that in that month. So I'm happy to make that adjustment to make sure that we have that, the right amount of money, and we're not kind of over contributing to that, we're kind of getting it just right. So actually, our transport costs on the face of it are actually really low. One thing I am aware of though is that we have our car is coming up for its MOT in March. We haven't been putting any money aside for car maintenance recently, just because of the low amount of use the car's actually had this year. Normally we're doing fairly big trips all over the place, and previously when we had this car, it was doing like long commutes. So there was a kind of a regular sort of wear and tear and maintenance that was required on the car. But because we haven't really been doing that, I haven't really felt the need to constantly top up that maintenance pot for things like tyres and new brakes and all the sorts of things that you need for a car. But with the MOT coming up, I think it's probably worthwhile that we set some money aside for that. So over the next kind of 3 months, I'm going to put £50 a month aside for that. That will cover the cost of the MOT and any minor repairs. I'm not expecting anything huge. We have like an emergency fund, so if it is anything big, then we can always dip into that. But I think that £50 should cover any sort of basics, new lights or replacement windscreen wipers or anything like that that we need. So 3 of those over the next 3 months, and we should be good. So, house maintenance. So we kind of tend to just corrode into our, we don't necessarily need a house maintenance sinking fund because we're almost constantly doing stuff in our house. So we kind of just pay for it as it comes up. However, we've done quite a lot of stuff in the house recently, and I think we're feeling a bit done. So actually, it would be quite good for us to put some of the money aside that we're probably not going to use in January towards some bigger projects that we might be looking to do later on in the year. So because if I look at my balance, I've actually got over £1,000 here left to allocate. Obviously, I've still got to talk about my savings and investments and things like that. But I think it is probably worth us sticking, say, £100 this month into house maintenance for some of the DIY projects that we want to do going forwards. So that leaves us with kind of like the fun categories, the good bits. So savings. Now, I invest £500 every month into my Vanguard stocks and shares ISA. So that will keep on going. But I have set up some new accounts this month. So I have created a pension, and I'm not really, I'm still kind of unsure. I've got SIP. I did a whole video about it. I'll drop the link below this if you want to go and check that out. So I've just started putting in a small amount. I still am on the fence about whether I want to put lots of money into my pension or whether I want to focus on putting the money into my stocks and shares ISA. So I'm kind of just dabbling with the world of pensions at the moment. So I've set up a direct debit for £50 to go into my pension. It's not a huge amount, and I might up that, but that's kind of what we're working with at the moment. And because I'm self-employed and my income can go up and down and all over the place, and we don't quite know what's going to happen with my husband's job yet, I don't want to over-commit to that at this stage. So the next one is I've set up some junior ISAs for my kids. So I've got 2 kids, so they had some Christmas money, so I put a little bit in each of those. But I also set up a regular payment of £25 for each of them each month. So again, this is kind of small amounts, and once I'm feeling more confident about our finances, I'm hoping that I will be able to up that as our income increases. So I'm aware that we've still got this fairly big balance at the moment, but I'm going to talk in a little bit about why I'm nervous to sort of spend too much of it in the investments and things like that. So there's definitely going to be £50 going into the junior ISAs for the kids. Another thing that I'm dabbling with, and this is going to be a future video, so you'll need to watch out for this, is that I have created a bit of a portfolio around ethical investments through Trading 212. And they have a feature on there. This is called pies, and you can automatically invest into these pies. So I created what I've called ethical pie, and I have just set up a £25 per month payment into that pie. So that means that actually I am going to be spending that amount. Again, this isn't huge, okay? So this isn't a huge amount of money that's going into that particular pot. So at this point, I'm feeling quite happy. We've actually got already, I've got 22% of our income is going into our savings. What I want to do now is actually look, so I've still got nearly £900 left over, and I work on a zero-based budgeting method. Now I'm going to put an absolutely massive chunk of this into our savings. So I think I'm going to just put straight up £800 into our savings. And the reason for this is because we have a little bit of uncertainty around my husband's job, and also there is a bit of uncertainty around what work and things that I might have coming up in the future. So I'm feeling kind of just a little cautious about what this month is going to bring. And so I want that buffer in there. Now I might find that everything works out, and my husband is able to continue doing his job, and I all the work comes flooding in for me. And if that's the case, then I will look probably at moving that from savings into investments. We've already got our emergency fund. We don't particularly need this money. Some of that savings will automatically be allocated into our kind of personal savings pot because we're saving to go traveling and things like that again. So some of that will go into that, but I just want this little extra buffer. So I'm not feeling quite ready yet to commit any more of that to our investments. We're already doing a huge amount of investing, but the rest can just go in savings. And look, when I do that, that actually gives us a massive 50% going into savings and investments, which I'm feeling super smug about. Now, I think that I've got this remaining £88.17, and we've got a couple of boxes here that I haven't really looked at yet. So Christmas is a big one. We spend about £600 for Christmas. Now that might sound like a lot, but I spread it out over the year. So given that it's January, I need to create a new sinking fund for that. So I'm going to put another £50, because then 50 times by 12 will give me that 600 in December. So I'm going to put that amount in there. Now, I am noticing in here that I would actually quite like, if I can figure this out, I'm just going to add in another giving. And I'm going to put in here giving other, because I want to start making giving a more regular part of my life, and not just for the sake of, birthdays and Christmas and things like that. So I'm going to add in here this other column. And actually, where I put this personal amount into our savings, I'm actually going to take a bit out of that. So I'm going to reduce that personal savings to 700, and it's going to leave me with this nice £138.17. So let's just chuck that all under giving. Oh, not under birthdays. No birthdays for us this month, which is nice. We get lots of spring birthdays and autumn birthdays in my family. So actually we'll get the winter off, which is nice. I'm going to put £138, which is left into that giving pot, which gives us so much to play with. We've got lots of things that we want to do with that money, and I feel happy. We've still got some in the personal part. We've got good amounts of investments, and this kind of brings this giving pot up to my goal of closer to 80%, and that's it. That's all of the money allocated. So that was my budget for January 2021. I'm looking forward to seeing how this one pans out. Now, it's always important to reflect on previous budgets, and this is not something that I've talked through in this video, but it's something that I encourage you to do. So take the opportunity before you go into your January 2021 budget to look back at what happened in December. What went well? What didn't go so well? What tweaks do you need to make? And actually, January is the time when we try and set ourselves big goals. And we're probably going through a period of adjustment. Here in the UK, things aren't exactly normal at the moment, and we might need to give ourselves some allowances for that. So this may not be the month, this may not be like a normal January where we all jump in with our New Year's resolutions, trying to save money and be healthy. So maybe cut yourself some slack on that one this year. Think carefully about what's coming up ahead. Think of birthdays, think of any other expenses that you might have. I talked about like our MOT that's coming up. Think of those things and start planning now. I hope you found this video useful. Please hit that subscribe button so you can see my future budgeting videos, and you can check out all the other videos on my channel as well. I've got lots of videos on tips and strategies around budgeting and other areas of personal finance that I think you would love. Don't forget to leave me a comment, let me know how your budget went this month, and I look forward to seeing you in the next video.